anyone wondering about the shredded plastic bags, there was a dog crate in here with a dog in it, and some of my bags of yarn got put on top of the dog crate, and no one thought to move the yarn from the dog crate when putting the dog in it, and so it got shredded. It got shredded so much. So you'll see me rewinding some cakes into new cakes. That's because I had well, I don't know. Oh, here it is. Yeah. I had a manual winder, which I loved. I loved this winder. Eventually I gave in after my arms got very tired and bought my electric winder. You will find that my electric winder, one, does higher capacity. So supersized skeins, the pounds, I don't have to break up into multiple small cakes like I did with, like this is one skein here. So I don't have to do that with this winder. I can actually do an entire Bernat skein in one cake on this winder. The other difference that you'll find is there's this one. No. This one was done with my electric winder. This one was done with my manual winder. My electric winder, you'll see everything's very tight. There's very little give to it. It's a lot neater. This one is a lot looser. There's a lot of give. You can see it squishes down quite a bit. And it's shorter. And it just doesn't stack as nicely and as uniformly. So I'm slowly going through and rewinding a lot of these cakes with the new winder, so everything stacks in a uniform manner. And I will include, when I repost this live, I'll include a link for this winder. But the biggest things for me are just how nice and uniform these are. And I kind of just want all my stuff to be nice and neat and the same. As much as I loved my little hand winder, I cannot argue with this thing. So some of today is just going to be rewinding cakes. Some of it's going to be kind of organizing. You can see over time things have just gotten put up here. We don't really use the upstairs of the house. This is upstairs. And so stuff just kind of gets stuck up here as I go through and go, you know what, I don't need this anymore. I'll use this for a project later, whatever. I don't really have shelves and things. This table and this little cot are the only pieces of furniture up here. Eventually I'm going to go to thrift stores and find some nice shelves. That has not happened yet. You will also see random things like this that I'm going to be unwinding or undoing, unraveling. I'm going to be frogging it and winding it back into cakes. Those were intended to be nets to kind of hang up here to put stuff in. I'm just finding it's just taking too long. I would rather just spend $3 and buy a net. So yeah, there's not a lot of super interesting stuff going on today, but I promised a live. I had a couple people on Threads and I think one person on TikTok that were really requesting that I do more of the lives and more talking in my face and all that. So I'm trying to do that, even though I am a recluse and I am socially awkward and anxious and autistic, and I don't really do great at communicating with people, and especially talking to myself. That's very difficult for me. I generally feed off of the people that I'm communicating with, so just talking to my camera in the corner of the room is very odd for me. Especially doing this without any music or cartoons also is very odd for me. So I always start off slow. The nice thing about this winder is it maintains tension so well, I don't actually have to do anything. I just have to make sure that there's no giant knots in that. And this, I know there's no giant knots in. because I've already wound it into a cape once. This is the Loops and Threads Facets, or no, I'm sorry, this is Lion Brand Landscapes actually. They're very similar yarns. They're very difficult to work with. But once you get the hang of them, I find that they are one of the more rewarding yarns. I absolutely love them. I find that there's not a lot of acrylics or cottons that come in this color range and with this sort of gradient effect. It's very difficult to find yarns that do this successfully and that feel this nice. That is the trade-off for it being such a difficult yarn to work with and being kind of inconsistent in thickness as you go through. You'll find a little bit thinner, a little bit thicker. But I do find that it is worth the trouble once you figure out how to work with it. There we go. So yeah, this is, let's take the bobby pin out of here. I use bobby pins to, I don't know why I'm holding this up, I just can see it from across the room. I use bobby pins to secure the yarn. I find that it keeps it nice and neat. That's another reason I'm having to go through and redo some of these capes, is that I ran out of bobby pins, but I wanted to keep winding my yarn. So I just kept going and tried to just tuck the yarn in, and it was very unsuccessful and made a giant mess. And yeah, so I would like to redo those also and have a much neater finished product. Like this one, you can see has started to unwind. So normally I also, you'll see me fold up labels and put them in the center of the skein. I'm not sure what happened to the label with this one. So this one's all on its own. Luckily, I know these yarns well enough to know that if it feels like this, it's either Facets or Lion Landscape. This is Facets. I don't know how well you can tell the difference, but they are very, very similar yarns. Okay, let's get some of these Christmas yarns done, because these I'm going to put away. I've got a fair amount of, I'm making a blanket. I didn't listen to the boyfriend curse. I started a blanket for my boyfriend, but the way that I got around it was it's a Christmas blanket. So the way that I'm choosing to look at that is it's not a blanket for him, it's a blanket for the household for a holiday. Therefore, the boyfriend curse does not apply. Thus far, it's worked out pretty well for me. I started the blanket sometime around Halloween, and we have not broken up yet, knock on wood. So that's my little secret for getting around the boyfriend curse. But I have so much of this yarn. I have so much of it stashed everywhere, all around the room, all around the house, in my project bags, in the camper, because I'm always coming back to working on this blanket. My goal is to have it done by Christmas, this Christmas, because last Christmas didn't happen, but we will see how that goes. So again, I always fold up the labels and put them in the center of the skein just so it's easy to tell what this is. This is Big Twist Festive Fun. Unfortunately, you will not, you will not be able to get this yarn again unless you buy it from someone like me that bought a whole bunch of it. Because obviously Big Twist is a Joann brand, and Joann is going away, though I've heard that somewhat locally to me and in a few other areas, some company bought Joann independently, just a handful of the franchises, and so we may get to keep it somehow. I'm not really sure how it's all working. It was just something that I heard from someone at a Scouts meeting. Not sure how true it is, not sure how it holds true to the rest of the country, but definitely something to keep an eye on and to look into. But anyways, I really doubt that they are going to make more of this yarn regardless, but it is big twist festive fun. So I lost my tension there. I need to start this over because I wasn't paying attention to what was happening. But in general, I love that I don't generally have to hold on to the yarn in any way, shape, or form. Outside of a lot of times you will find me holding on to it like this just so that it's easier to catch the knots as they come out. And so I don't do what I've been doing, which is getting very distracted by my phone and not paying attention to the yarn that's being wound. But yeah, I have a lot of yarn to go through and wind, and this is actually a small fraction of what I had. For those of you that haven't been following me for a very long time, well, really since the beginning, I had to kind of flee California and move to Michigan. And when I fled, I brought a container of yarn and a bag of yarn, and that was all. I left my entire yarn wall behind, and all of my fabric I left behind, and had to restart here. So this is all I've got right now. I used to have hundreds of cakes of yarn, and now I'm down to maybe 50, maybe. I try not to buy yarn if I don't have a project for it, unless it's on super clearance, and at this point, unless it's blanket yarn or a basic acrylic color, or a basic Chanel color. Just because I'm trying to build back up that base stock so that I've got the colors to where when I decide, you know, hey, I want to open up this book and do a siren, I've got the colors for that. I can do it in whatever material I want. I can do it in the colors that I want. Even though my special love, as you'll notice, is variegated and ombre yarns. I know that I need that base. I'm hurting for those basic colors and the basic materials. So when those go on sale, yeah, I grab them. Or if Dollar Tree gets a new set of the Chanel Premier yarns, and then I'll grab some of those. But otherwise, I've been really good about not buying yarn that I did not need, because I am too broke to be buying yarn that I don't need. And my boyfriend is an enabler. He will tell me to buy more yarn if I ask him. So yeah, I do not have the problem that a lot of you have of spouses complaining that you buy too much yarn. I've worked very hard to keep my yarn addiction under control, and I have refused to buy any fabric, because I also had to unfortunately leave my sewing machines behind. So I don't have a sewing machine right now. I have been very tempted to buy so much fabric, but that doesn't really make a lot of sense with no sewing machine. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to buy fabric that I can't do anything with. So eventually, I will get a sewing machine, and at that time I will start to buy fabric, and no sooner. And so that's the rule that I came up with, is no fabric for sewing purposes until sewing machine happens. And sewing machine doesn't need to happen until I have a project that I need to sew. And I don't really have one of those either. Haven't really been sewing lately. I've been here for 7 months now, and not once have I sat down to sew. So yeah, it's eye-opening how much stuff you do and don't need for your crafts when you have to leave most of it behind. I used to have so much stuff, so many, you know, like I said, hundreds of skeins and cakes of yarn, and literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of yards of fabric. I mean, in my defense, I was a seamstress for a while, but yeah, I didn't need all that fabric or all that yarn. So I roll up the labels. I don't know, I don't think you can see this very well, to be fair, but I kind of just stick it on the end here and slide the cake off onto it so that I have a perfect little cake with the label inside. So when I am ready to buy more of that yarn, or when someone asks me what the yarn is, I have some of it. Oh hey, I found the label for this one I just did. Look at that. There we go. So I really want to get the Christmas yarns done first, because for the most part they can be put away. I keep a couple skeins with me in my project bag. But otherwise they can be put away. I don't need easy access to them like I do a lot of my stuff that I use more frequently. This is why you pay attention while your yarn is winding. This live is not going to last long. My back is killing me. But I wanted to get some stuff done up here at least. And now that I've got my setup figured out, I can get back at this tomorrow too. This one does not want to cooperate today. Why I don't normally have problems with this. It may be all this fuzz that's accumulating. Kind of, oh yeah, pushing things out. I will need to clean this out before my next live. So holding it like this kind of just helps prevent the yarn from bouncing around and makes it less likely to pop out. I don't normally have an issue with the yarn popping out, but for some reason it's having a bit of an issue today. It might just be the angle I have this set up at. I also don't normally do it at this table anymore. I have a TV tray that I wind yarn off of. So, yeah, I don't know. It might be that too far that way. Sometimes it's easiest to just wind it back, but this is not going to be one of those times, it seems. I'm giving up on that routine for right now before I scream, because that's where we're headed. Sometimes it is best to just move on and try again with something else. It's not like I lack the amount of yarn to wind more. We'll see how that goes. So I'd really like to, nope. I'd really like to be able to wind yarn up here with just this, but it's looking like if I want to wind yarn with this table instead of my TV tray in bed like I normally do, I am going to have to hold on to the yarn, which I don't love. I've gotten very spoiled with this winder. With not having to pay that much attention to what I'm doing outside of the initial casting on. But it's not that big a deal. It's just, I've gotten spoiled and I know it. I know that this winder spoils me like crazy. But it's okay. And I mean, eventually I want some comfortable seating up here too, so I'm sure I'll go back to using my TV tray up here as well. But for now, in the future, I'll just wind yarn downstairs with my TV tray, which I know works. You'll see in like my YouTube videos and stuff, and occasionally I posted them on TikTok. That's loose. Okay. That is why. Because I need to tighten that back up. Okay. I now understand the problem. The good news is it is an easy fix. The bad news is I need a wrench, and I do not have one of those up here. So that is going to be all of that for today, and we will pick back up tomorrow.